You ever wake up thinking it's going to be a quiet morning, just you, a hot cup of coffee, maybe the sound of birds on the lake, and instead there's a teenage warlord on your porch telling you your house doesn't belong to you anymore? No. Well, let me tell you how that feels. Because that's exactly how my Friday started, the day my life at Crystal Pines Lake flipped upside down. I open the door still in sweatpants, coffee in hand, and there's this kid. 17 tops. Hoodie that probably cost more than my first car vape behind his ear, mirrored sunglasses so big he looked like a mosquito. He points at the cabin and says, real smooth, "My mom's the HOA president, dude. This cabin's ours now." Like he's just conquered a new territory and I'm supposed to hand over the keys. And for a second I just stand there watching him strut around my dock like a miniature real estate tycoon, sun glinting off those ridiculous shades. You'd think I'd be mad, but honestly I just wanted to see how far he'd go. See, I'm Brian Nelson, and what this kid doesn't know is I'm not just any old neighbor. I'm the chief of police around these parts. I came out here for peace and quiet. Thought maybe if I moved far enough from the city, the only thing I'd have to worry about was the occasional raccoon getting into my trash. But no peace is the first casualty when you're dealing with an HOA that thinks it runs the universe. And this kid, he was just the tip of a very obnoxious iceberg. You might think I'm exaggerating, but the truth is, the arrogance he carried like it was genetic passed down from his mom, Grace Moore. She was the real deal. The undisputed queen of Crystal Pines. Pink blazer pearls SUV so white it practically glowed. Folks warned me about her when I moved in. She means well until she doesn't. I shrugged it off. I'd seen plenty of power trips in 20 years wearing a badge. But let me tell you, Grace Moore didn't just run the HOA. She weaponized it. First, it was a letter in my mailbox. The kind of letter that tries too hard, fancy fonts, gold logo, enough bold text to make your eyes hurt. Notice of property non-compliance. Turns out my cabin's paint color was a crime against the community. Cedar brown. Off the approved palette. I needed to repaint Lake Sand Pebble Mist or Tranquil Taupe. I actually laughed out loud. Who names these colors? So I call the HOA office thinking it's a mistake. Lady on the phone sounds like she's hiding under her desk. I'll let Mrs. Moore know you called. And 2 hours later, bingo, my phone rings. Mr. Nelson, she says, all polite power. I see you've received our letter. I tell her calmly, my property isn't under her jurisdiction. Bought it that way on purpose. There's a pause. Then that fake little laugh. Oh, I think you'll find the HOA lines were updated last year. We've integrated the lakeside properties for community improvement. Community improvement, yeah, I've learned that every tyrant hides behind that phrase. So I start paying attention. 2 weeks later, my neighbor, sweet lady, retired, gets fined for wind chimes. Another single mom threatened over a garden gnome. Grills are banned. Then Grace throws herself a BBQ fundraiser. The kicker, everyone obeys. Why? Because Grace runs the committees, the newsletter, the election. She can charm you at a meeting and bankrupt you the next day. So when her son shows up on my porch claiming my place for the HOA, I know exactly who taught him that move. 3 days after that, I get an email official as they come HOA seal fake signatures. The HOA will utilize the lakeside cabin for a youth graduation celebration. Please have the property unlocked by Friday at 5 p.m. Unlocked like they already owned it. So I drive into town, head to the county records office. Clerk digs up the zoning map. Sure enough, my cabin's not in the HOA. I knew it. Border ends at Ridge Creek Road. Why are they sending you this stuff? Clerk asks. Because some people think authority grows like mold, quiet everywhere and hard to scrub off. Next morning, Grace calls again. Just confirming you received the event notice. I confirm that I won't be unlocking anything. Her voice goes brittle. You may want to rethink your tone. Mr. Nelson, we can issue fines, revoke access. Ma'am, you can't revoke what you never had, I say. And the silence that follows. Let me tell you, I savored it. But I know her type. That ego doesn't back down. So I get ready, install cameras, copy my deed, and start poking around the HOA's finances. And oh boy, people treat HOA budgets like a private piggy bank. I spot this community youth engagement initiative, $12,000, no receipts, no program. I ask around, no one's heard of it. Grace Moore, it turns out, has expensive taste in engagement. 2 days later, Grace shows up in person. Pearl's perfume clipboard her scepter. Ethan right behind, grinning like the crown prince. Graduation celebration will proceed as planned, she says, cool as ever. On my property, I reply. On community property, she corrects, her voice sharp. I smile. Which account covered the cleanup? The one you used for your youth initiative? Her face tightens. She stammers, snaps her clipboard and storms off. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Trust me. I want to say you're the one making it hard. If she wanted a party, she'd get one, but not the kind she planned. I call an old friend at the sheriff's office. Rodriguez. Might need a few off-duty units at Crystal Pines this weekend. Possible unauthorized gathering, underage drinking, trespassing, the usual. He laughs. You're finally poking the HOA bear, not yet. Just setting the table. That night, bourbon in hand, I sit out on the dock watching the moon. If Grace wants to test her reach, I'll show her just how short her leash really is. By Wednesday, Crystal Pines is the quietest it's ever been. Feels like the air before a thunderstorm. My phone buzzes, motion camera. There's Ethan marching onto my property with 2 friends, drone and all. They laugh, film, steal my father's old fishing hat, and post a selfie online. Caption hashtag Lake Life, hashtag HOA Party Prep, hashtag Thanks Mom, anger's easy, proof is better. I just watch, take notes, print screenshots. Then, as if on cue, a delivery, 3 beer pong tables sent to my address. Delivery guy says, Mrs. Moore confirmed the drop-off. I jot down his name. That evening I call my attorney, Jim Wallace. He listens, then laughs. Classic HOA overreach. They think if nobody pushes back, their word is law. Not pushing, I say. Documenting. He warns me, don't wait too long. People like this rewrite the rules while you're still reading them. He's right. Next day, there's a full-color HOA newsletter, front page, graduation celebration at Lakeside Cabin, courtesy of the HOA. There's even a photo of my place. I breathe, count to 20, and then I laugh. This isn't arrogance, it's delusion. I start digging deeper into bylaws. Public record, thank God. Compare the version on file to the one Grace sent me. And there it is, a line slipped in. The association may temporarily use any community-adjacent property for approved activities. Community-adjacent, a term that means nothing in zoning law. She literally wrote herself permission to trespass. Thursday evening, the first trucks arrive. Teenagers unload beer coolers, light speakers. One of them sees my private property sign and laughs. Mrs. Moore said to ignore that. I step out, smile. You're early for tomorrow's arrest. They scatter. I lock the gate, point a new camera at the driveway, and wait. That night, Grace herself comes by, tries the door locked, looks into the camera, mutters, "He'll regret this." I replay that video 3 times. Trespass, intent, threat, all on tape. Friday, humid, heavy air. At exactly 5:47 p.m., the parade starts. Cars rolling in, BMWs, Jeeps, and SUV pumping pop music. Teenagers pile out with beer lights, and who's leading them? Ethan, my dad's hat on backwards like he just won the lottery. Mom said it's fine, he yells. They clip the lock, push through my gate, set up speakers, and start the party. Some kids dive in the lake. Grace rolls up in her Escalade, champagne flute in hand, pink blazer, high heels. Welcome, everyone. The HOA is proud to sponsor this event for our amazing youth. She spots me on the porch, gives a fake little wave. Thank you for letting us use your beautiful property. I raise my phone. Don't worry, I'm recording every word. Her smile twitches. Music gets louder, cans start flying, fireworks pop off the dock. I stay put, noting the time every time someone crosses a line. Around 9 p.m., Ethan jumps up on a cooler. This is our lake now. HOA rules, baby. His friends cheer. Grace laughs, and then my phone buzzes. Rodriguez units in position. You want the lights? Give it 15 more minutes, I say. Let the queen crown herself. 15 minutes later, Grace stumbles up to the porch, champagne breath and slurred words. You need to stop filming. This is community property tonight. I tell her I just confirmed with the county assessor. This address is 100% mine. Her face goes blank. Don't make me call the police, she hisses. Ma'am, That's the best idea you've had all night. I step inside, pull on my blue jacket, clip my badge, open the door. The crowd freezes. Grace drops her glass. Ethan's jaw hits the floor. Everyone here is trespassing, I say. Anyone under 21 with alcohol, step aside. Ethan sputters. Dad, what? Not your dad, son. I'm the chief of police. The air goes silent, just the lake lapping at the dock, and then sirens. Red and blue lights flood the yard. Deputies fan out flashlights, calm voices, professionalism. Grace's last words as HOA president. Oh, dear God. She tries to bark orders, but no one listens. You're traumatizing children, she cries. You mean the ones drinking stolen alcohol on my property, I reply. Rodriguez brings me an invoice from the catering truck, $3,218.64 paid from the HOA account signed by Grace. That's just a community expense, she stammers. Under community engagement, right? The same fund you've been siphoning from for months. I raise my phone, play back the video of her trying my door. Ethan tries to bolt, but Rodriguez catches him. Easy, kid. We're not cuffing you yet. Grace threatens to call the mayor. Already, did I say? He's on his way with a warrant. The county investigator Hayes shows up, pulls boxes from her SUV, receipts, laptop, the works. Grace screams about harassment. This is a search warrant, Hayes replies. Watching Grace Moore unravel under the lights, watching her son finally realize the rules weren't just for other people. Honestly, I didn't feel triumphant. Just relieved. Sometimes justice isn't a victory dance. It's a slow exhale. Come Monday, the headline is everywhere. HOA president arrested at underage party. Her mugshot goes viral, mascara streaked, pink blazer crooked. The mighty have fallen. But justice doesn't clock out. There's paperwork, angry parents, catering invoices unpaid because Grace's accounts are frozen. The prosecutor files fraud, trespass, embezzlement, and contributing to the delinquency of minors. The mayor calls nervous. Grace says it's political. It's criminal, I reply. And I can prove it. The HOA board turns on itself, shredding documents, pointing fingers, realizing too late how deep the rot went. Hayes finds thousands more siphoned over years. Spa trips, home remodels, luxury handbags. When Grace finally calls, her voice is broken. You don't understand what it's like keeping this place in order. No, I tell her, you just forgot it wasn't yours to own. In court, the evidence is overwhelming. Grace's lawyer tries to spin it as overzealous leadership, but when I testify, I say it plain. She didn't blur the lines. She erased them. She's sentenced to 3 years, 1 to serve, 2 suspended full restitution. Her son, Ethan, stands outside the courthouse, eyes red. I want to apologize, he tells me. You learned something, I ask. That rules aren't just for other people. Crystal Pines rebuilds slowly. The new HOA president, Helen, has a spine of steel. Every missing dollar gets accounted for. Every meeting is transparent. There's laughter again at the lake, real laughter, not nervous politeness. A few months later, Ethan shows up at my door, clean shirt, no swagger. He started a community group, teaches teens about responsibility, boundaries. His mom writes from prison, says she finally feels useful helping other women study for their GEDs. We hold a picnic by the lake, the first in years. Helen gives a speech about accountability and announces a grant in my name for projects that promote honesty and safety. I'm embarrassed but proud. Grace writes me too. You saved me from myself, she says. Tell the lake I'm sorry. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it's a quiet ripple, a clean audit, a handshake between neighbors. The lake's peaceful again. The cabins glow at dusk, music and laughter drifting over the water. And if you're sitting there thinking, could that really happen? I promise you it can. Power, when left unchecked, breeds arrogance. But justice, steady, patient, compassionate, restores balance. So let me ask you, have you ever had to stand up to someone who thought their title meant they were above the law? Did you fight fire with fire, or did you let the truth do the heavy lifting? Share your story below. Because sometimes the only thing that can clean up a mess that big is a whole community willing to say, enough.